Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope everybody's doing well and everybody's out there enjoying the nice fall weather. So, today I'm starting a brand new project here on the channel. No, the dream house is not going away. I've just simply put it on hiatus for a little while. Today I'm starting my very first and possibly my only commission. Now, I don't normally do commission work. I know lots of people out there do. Some of my favorite content creators do commission work. It's a great way to make a little bit of extra money while helping somebody else out. So please know that if that's you, I have mad respect for you and everything that you do. For me, though, I really struggle to do projects that I'm not personally invested in or have some sort of a connection to. And I know that's not the same for everybody, but that's just kind of how it is for me. Having said all that, since I am doing a commission, you have to know that it's something that's pretty special. So I want to talk a little bit about the project. So if that's not your thing, if you don't like the whole talking thing at the beginning of the video, that's okay. You can go ahead and skip to the build. But I do kind of want to give some context and tell a little bit of the story behind this build before we get started. So I come from a very long list of family members who grew up watching professional wrestling. I think I touched on that a little bit in the Homestead series when I talked about my grandmother and how every Saturday she would take a break from whatever she was doing to sit down and watch a show called Stampede Wrestling. So I can say that I come by it honestly, I guess. I started watching professional wrestling when I was somewhere around 8 or 9 years old. So we're talking like 1970, 71. And this was long before anybody ever heard of WWF or WWE as it's now called. So before WWF, professional wrestling here in North America was broken down into what they called territories. I can't tell you how many territories there were because it changed quite a bit, but one of those territories was based out of the city that I live in, which is Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And that territory was called Stampede Wrestling. And the promoter for Stampede Wrestling was a man by the name of Stu Hart. Now, they used to do a live show here in Calgary every Friday night. So we would either be down at the Stampede Pavilion watching it live, or if we couldn't do that, we would definitely watch it on TV the following day on Saturday afternoon. So Stu and Helen Hart had 12 children, 8 boys and 4 girls. And all 8 boys were involved in wrestling in some capacity. Some were doing kind of behind the scenes stuff. There was one that used to do a lot of refereeing. And then, of course, there was a large number of them that were actually wrestling in the ring. Now, 2 of those boys actually went on to have careers in WWE. So, if you are a wrestling fan of any kind and watched wrestling throughout the 80s or 90s, I'm sure you know these names when I say that 2 of the boys were Owen Hart and Bret the Hitman Hart. Now, the 4 girls were not to be left out. All 4 girls went on to marry professional wrestlers. So, through those marriages came Davy Boy Smith, who went by the nickname the British Bulldog. Then we had Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who was probably best known in WWE as being part of the Hart Foundation. And so he was a tag team partner of Bret the Hitman Hart. And then there was also Tom Billington, who was best known as Dynamite Kid. I promise you I'm getting to the point. So the Hart family lived in this mansion way up on the hill in southwest Calgary. And honestly, you can ask anybody in this city, whether they were a wrestling fan or not, and they all know about this house and the stories that were associated with the house. Now, the house, which is called Hart House, is now a historical landmark here in the city. And this is the house that I'm going to be building on the channel. So you may be wondering how this all kind of came about to be a commission. So earlier this summer, I got an email from one of Stu Hart's granddaughters, a gal by the name of Kristen. And Kristen's father was Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Kristen's mom was Ellie Hart, which is one of the 4 Hart girls. Now, Kristen is just kind of starting to get into miniatures, and so she reached out to me to see if I was interested in collaborating with her in recreating the Hart House. Well, I can tell you that it was a pretty easy yes for me. So for my part, I'm going to build the basic structure of the house. And then I'm going to finish the exterior of the house. And then once my part is done, I'm going to ship it all the way down to Florida, where Kristen is going to take over the build. and she and her mom are going to finish the interior of the house and bring it to life as it was when the family owned the property. And then, of course, throughout the build, I'll be sharing some of the stories that I've heard over the years about the house itself. So, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, I hope you stick around. It's still a really cool house, and I'm really excited to get started and to get it built. So, let's get started. We opted to use cardboard for this project for a few reasons. When it's done right, cardboard is very strong and sturdy. It's also easy to work with, it's good in any climate, and it's really lightweight. That's going to be very important when it comes to the shipping. I put out a call to my friends and family for some large boxes in good shape, and they did not disappoint. There's some really cool features about this house, and that'll make the building process challenging, but also super interesting and a ton of fun. For example, there's an actual drive-through under the front and the back porches. There were balconies off the front and back on the second level, and there was also this really cool attic space at the top. We'll talk a little more in depth about those spaces as we go through the build. Now, I've never been inside the house myself, but Kristen did a great job of drawing out the floor plans for all 4 of the levels. The one thing that was common on all 4 levels was this load-bearing wall in the center. It fit perfectly the plan that we had for accessing the inside of the house. The plan is to split the house in half, separating the front from the back. Then I can add a hinge on one of the side pieces, so that when it's closed, it'll look like one big house, but you'll be able to open it like a book to expose what's inside. To show you what I mean, I'm going to cut this copy along that center wall. Then by adding a hinge here, then we can just open it up like so. And then that allows good access into seeing all of the different rooms on all 4 of the floors. So this is the south side of the house. The front of the house is on the right. And this is the wall that I'm going to put the hinge on. And I'm going to place that hinge right here. Now you can see here that the back half of the house isn't quite as wide as the front half. But that little bit of space when the house is opened will allow me to keep this chimney. It will make the roof a little trickier to make, but that's okay. That's a problem for future me. So I've measured out and cut the pieces for the foundation, but as you can see here, there is a little bit of warp on one of the pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to weight them down while they dry. I've gathered up some of my heavier books and boxes for that process. I'm just using some regular Elmer's white glue for the process. The only thing you really need to be careful of here is to make sure that you get the glue all the way to the edges. I'm making sure that all of the edges are nice and flush before I start adding on all of my books. Now there's probably a little bit of overkill here in how much weight I've added, but honestly, if the foundation is not flat, that's going to affect every single floor that I put on top of it. So here are my 2 foundation pieces. And so my next step then was to mark out where the walls will stand and what pieces I needed to cut away. I had cut a notch here because my original plan was to add a wood dowel, but I changed my mind after, so I ended up having to fill that back in. From the house wall to this wall is where the balcony is, and then I've also left myself some extra space so that I can bring the steps out, and I've done that on both the front and the back of the house. Once I had the floor plan drawn out, I thought it would be a good idea to make a template for the house area. There are 3 more floors for each side. 2 of them will have balconies and 1 without, so measuring them out now will be a lot easier and a big time saver going forward. I've just used some white copy paper and some tape, and I've made a template of the house including both of the balconies. Then I took that template and I just traced it out onto a piece of poster board, just because the poster board is a little sturdier and it's not going to move on me like just the regular paper. I cut that out, and again I've included the balconies for both the front and the back pieces. Once I have those cut out of cardboard, then I can slice off that balcony piece to do my attic floor. Once I had the foundation all finished, then it was time to start making some of the walls. So the walls on the sides of the house are actually going to be the total height of the wall. The walls that are going to be on the front and back, because of those balconies, I have to do those one floor at a time. But I started with the side ones and just took each wall one at a time. So on the back of the wall, I've added an extra piece just so that when I lay each individual floor, there's something for that ledge to sit on. Now when you're making your walls, it's really important to rotate the direction that the corrugation goes. So one piece will have the corrugation going up and down, the next piece will have it going side to side. That'll add to some real strength for those walls. At this point, I decided to make these two walls and a portion of this wall in actual wood. This is the side that the hinge is going to go on, and I'm pretty sure the cardboard isn't going to hold that hinge together, so I really need to reinforce and make sure whatever I'm putting that piano hinge into is going to hold it in place, and the house isn't going to fall apart the first time we try and open it. I will say here that while I glued the foundation pieces together, for the walls themselves, I've primarily used my Sukwang double-sided tape. That eliminates any possibility of warping on that cardboard. As I make each wall piece, I'm also cutting out all of the doors and window areas. It's way easier to do that now rather than to wait until the wall is in place. This is the wall piece that will hold half of the hinge. So originally I was just going to use that wood dowel, but I decided to use a strip of wood instead. I think it's going to be much stronger and there'll be way less chance of that hinge letting go than if I use just the wood dowel. So I'm starting by gluing the two pieces together. So you can see the two pieces here, but I'm not going to stop there. You can see here that I have wrapped the whole thing up in some two-sided tape, and I'm going to add some reinforcement by using this Tyvek. So if you don't know what Tyvek is used to wrap houses before you actually put on the siding. So it's like a water barrier or a vapor barrier, but it's also super strong and will not tear. So I'm going to use a piece of that to wrap around and hold that piece of wood to the cardboard wall. So I've cut away all of the excess overhang, and I've also gone in and cut away all of my windows. Now I've done the exact same thing on the wall that the other half of the hinge is going to attach to. I've replaced those two cardboard pieces with wood, and so now my hinge has something much sturdier to hang on to. So now it's time to start installing some of those outer walls. I'm using that Tyvek wherever I can to hold pieces together, but I'm only adding it to the pieces that you won't see once the house is complete. Once I have each wall standing, I'm using my 1, 2, 3 blocks to keep it straight and to keep it in place until the glue dries. So here's where I'm at so far. I added the inside walls and included a piece of that wood dowel for strength and for support. And I also cut out the two doorways for the interior rooms. I also framed in the doorways for the drive-through. In the next video, I'm going to attempt to make overhead doors. I've never done that before. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but stay tuned for that. So I'm going to leave off this video here. I know it seems like there was an awful lot happening in that very short 9 or 10 minutes of footage, but it's all stuff that I've done before on the channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple links in the description box. One will be from the very first foundation video when I made the homestead house, which was my grandparents' house. Even though it's a different medium, I was using foam core in that build, but it does lay out how I drew out the floor plan and how I decided where the walls were going to be and that kind of thing. So that might be of use too if you haven't seen it. And then I'll also link the video for the foundation for the friend's apartment, because that one was done in cardboard. And I did go a little bit more in detail as to how to put those walls together and how to attach them so that they stay. So I hope you'll join me in the next video. We're going to tackle some of those interior doors. And as I said in the video, I'm going to attempt to make overhead garage doors. Not sure how that's going to happen yet, but I have some time to figure that out. So please join me in the next video. And until then, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.